Hey guys, welcome to the Troy Gramling podcast from whatever platform you're listening or watching. Thanks so much for joining us. Today I'm excited. We have a couple of special guests. They are the co-founders of Cali Coffee, Craig and Rose. Thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us, Pastor Troy.
Thank you so much.
it.
We're excited about it. So why don't you take just a moment, maybe introduce yourself a little bit, and we'll start from there.
Sure. Go ahead, Craig. You start.
Now, ladies
start it
first.
off.
Go ahead after you.
Hi, guys. I'm Rose. I'm from Pennsylvania originally. Moved out to LA. I went to USC for school. So I started at Penn State, transferred to USC, and I was in LA for about 6 years studying kinesiology. I was in the fitness world, and I met Craig at a CrossFit gym out in LA. He was my coach at the time. I became a coach, so we became co-workers, and then started dating, and I'll kind of have him take it from there.
Yeah, I grew up in Oregon, lived there until I was 19, and then moved to California, not LA, and I kind of bounced around from place to place for a little bit, dabbled in some different things, and then ended up in LA as well. Fell into the fitness world, the CrossFit world, really, and that's where we met, like she said, and it was great. You know, I had an awesome time out there. I've always been active, very into sports. I played like 4 sports in high school, and just always probably a little too ADD for my own good, but I think it comes in handy sometimes. And then I kind of had an epiphany one day where it was just I just was thinking, what am I going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now? And you know, it's a grind. You know, you get in the fitness world and it's fun. It's very romantic the first few years, and then it starts to kind of take its toll, and it becomes tougher and tougher. You get older and older, and so we were like, all right, what else can we do? And I worked in coffee from a very early age. It was actually my very first job in high school, and I did that throughout college as well, or my brief stint in college, and then kind of pitched her on the idea. She dug it, and we looked at a map, and Florida is where we ended up through kind of a spiral of serendipitous events.
So from Pennsylvania and Oregon
to
California.
Yep.
And met there in the athletic world. Kinesiology. Now, what was the dream? Where does that lead?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because when you're young, it's like you don't really know. I mean, that was my passion. When I was a little kid, I would like write workouts for me and my brothers. You know, we would do like swim laps and do sit-ups when I was like 12. So I just always found this passion for fitness. It made me really happy. So I was like, okay, I'm good at this. I want to study it. I want to make other people happy and work with other people. So Penn State had an amazing program, but I was just getting a little antsy in Pennsylvania, and I was like, I want to spread my wings, go somewhere else. And I went across the country to California. I was like, if I get into USC, I'm gonna go. It's a tough school to get into. I got in. I was like, I got to do it. So I moved out there, and I was like, man, I'll just, I'll get my degree. I'll be a great trainer. I'll work with people. I'll change their lives. I was a big fan of Biggest Loser, the show.
Oh yeah.
And Bob Harper was the trainer on there. And I looked at the gym. This sounds like stalkerish, but I looked at the gym that he worked out at, and it was brick. And so I joined that gym, and I was like, all right, we'll just take it from here. And that's kind of where I ended up. So yeah, then Craig and I met, and he was always talking about this coffee thing. He was like, you know what's crazy is, like, I love coaching and I love CrossFit and like movement and body movement and everything, but what I really love is people and interacting with people. And I was like, me too. We love making people feel good and being like a nice part of their day. And he was like, that's what this coffee business is all about. It's not about serving the coffee, but it's about, that 1 minute interaction. You can really change their life in that 1 minute, and so I was like, man, that's awesome. I know Starbucks and Dunkin', but like the kind of culture you're talking about, I've never really experienced that. And so that's what I learned,
There's a lot of parallels too.
Yeah.
We kind of realized, like, fitness, especially like the CrossFit world, people, it's just so hard. I don't know if you guys have ever done CrossFit, but it's insanely hard. It's like stupid hard. And,
I've watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bond.
Watching
you
it's
bond
tiring.
through
I
that.
mean, doing it is like horrible, and yet you come back every day and you form this bond because you're going through like this just turmoil. It's hard every day. You're like, that sucked, but I'm going to come back tomorrow. Can't wait to do it again. So you build like this community within the gym, and with Cali Coffee, that was kind of one of the primary goals, was to create a communal feel between the staff, between the customers, between everybody, where like you want to go there, you want to work there, you want to be there, and just kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So just so everybody that's listening or watching today, you guys started this coffee company, and how many stores do you have right now?
We have 3 stores open. We're about to open our 4th in about 4 weeks.
And we're actually building 4 stores right now, about to break ground on like 2 more. So we're growing.
Which is exciting. And how long ago did you start actually?
So we moved to Florida in 2016, and we opened our first store in 2018. So it'll be 5 years old in September.
Wow.
It took a while. It was crazy. You know, the whole process of getting because you envision like the business being open, but the journey to get to like the start line is so hard. That's by far the hardest part, was actually getting the store open, because we didn't know what we were doing. You know, we didn't know, and nobody really can be prepared for that unless you've done it before, I think, or come from like a land development background, especially the way we did it. I mean, I think it's different if you're a coffee shop, you go into like an inline space, you know, in like a shopping plaza that's already built out, and you kind of just outfit the inside. But, you know, we had a piece of like flat grass, like here's what you got, and you got to turn this into your dream. And so it's cool because like from a creative aspect, we could sort of go bananas, do whatever we wanted. But you run into the city stuff and the permit stuff and all the things that you don't know about until you know about them.
Oh yeah.
And then they're in your face and you're dealing with all this at once. So, you know, we moved here in 2016, found the site. We thought from the time we signed that lease, we were like, oh, we'll be open in like probably, I don't know, 3-6 months. Sounds realistic. And it took like over 2 years to get there. So it's frustrating.
Still, you think of to you, it seems like a long time, but from us on the outside, you think 2016 to we're just starting 2023, and you guys are working towards 8 stores. I mean, that's pretty incredibly impressive.
You do have to remind yourself of that. We tell ourselves that all the time. We're like, man, we never sit back and are just like, wow, you know, look what we've done. And instead, we're just like, man, it's taking forever for the next one, forever. So we have to remind ourselves of that.
The first one's the hardest though, because again, you don't know what to expect. You don't have a store open yet. So now, while you're building store number 4, you're busy operating stores 1, 2, 3. You know, developing the culture at each one, keeping them going, and so you're not like. Time goes a lot faster that way.
So how Cali Coffee? So where does the name come from?
It's kind of an homage back to where we met. And I mean, I feel like I grew up in Oregon. I love Oregon. It was like the best to grow up there. But California really kind of shaped me as an adult, I feel like, you know, because I spent from basically 19 to like 29 there. So that decade was very shape forming, and we met there too, so it was like a nice homage. And on top of that, I think it was just a nice name, like Cali Coffee, you know, that alliteration.
It rolls
with
off the tongue well. It's nice. Yeah, and it's just, we always say people love California. So down here, a lot of people ask if it's Cali, Colombia or Cali, California. But once we're like, oh, Cali, California, it's just, people love California. It's just, it's cool. It's a lot of parallels from Florida to California with the palm trees and the sunshine. And I feel like, growing up in Pennsylvania anyway, I was like, wow, California, it's so cool, you know, so.
So when you picked Florida, did you pick it because of the business environment or just the feel or the vibe or your
kind of all that, yeah. I vacationed down in Jupiter a lot as a kid from Pennsylvania, like, you know, the snowbirds always from PA and New York go to Florida. So I knew of South Florida a little bit, and I was like, man, Craig, like, let me take you down here, just get a feel for it. And so we flew down for a week, and he was like, where's all the drive-through coffee? And I was like, well, we have Starbucks and Dunkin'. And he's like, yeah, but like, where is it all? Because in Oregon, it's everywhere. And so he was like, this is awesome. It's perfect. You know, it's a good vibe. It's young. It's fun. Like, let's do it. So
that's all true, but really, she just hates cold weather. So that's why we really came here was for that.
Not as many choices.
No, it was meant to be though, because so our first site was in Hollywood, Florida, and we came from Hollywood, California, which was just bizarre. I had no idea Hollywood was even a place in Florida. So, and
we didn't start looking there either. We moved to Jupiter, Florida, you know, about an hour and some change north, and we liked it there. So we were like, all right, let's see if we can find something around here, and we just kept striking out. You know, we'd go site after site, and either the developer didn't want to take a chance on 2, you know, kids who had never done this before, or it just the numbers didn't make sense. And so yeah, I mean, that was another part of the initial process, was actually finding the first site even to get it on the map, and that took a while.
So you got the name, and I assume you had that before coming. Did you, or kind of thought through that process a little bit?
We trademarked the name kind of early on, preemptively.
And then you got into it a little bit, but tell us a little more about the concept. You know, what was it that you wanted to do different?
So yeah, I mean, basically, I worked in drive-through coffee before when I was younger, and the company I worked for was great. It was awesome. I had a great time there, but I really did fall in love with the business of just the whole interaction of like, we're making something that somebody wants, a product that they, you know, whether they need it or not, they want it, right? It's something they feel like they wake up and I'm like, where's my coffee? I need to function. I get it too. I'm the same way. but there were a lot of things about that company that I was like, man, if I was the owner, I would do it this way, or I wouldn't do that, or I would do this. And so, the light bulb just kind of went off, and it's like, let's create our own from scratch, and we can do, the rule book is there to be written in a way.
So, and one of the things about that I've noticed about Cali Coffee, and you guys mentioned a little bit earlier, is that taking advantage of the opportunity to connect with people. And especially in South Florida, it's not the most unfriendly place in the world, but it's not known for its friendliness for sure.
Exactly.
And one of the first things before you ever taste the coffee is the drive-through window or the walk-up window is the intentionality on the person working there to engage with you.
Yeah. 100%.
So how intentional is that? Why do that if it is intentional?
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, that's literally like our business model is around customer service and just being genuine with our customers and making those connections. And that's why we did it. And you learn like daily with all these interactions, it makes such a difference in these people's lives, and it just keeps you motivated to keep it going. So when we first opened, like he would tell me about these moments he would have with customers growing up. He's like, no, just wait. Like if you remember this guy's name the next time he comes and you say his name, it's going to make him so happy. And so I started doing that, and I had to learn from him because I didn't work in drive-through coffee. So with the Hollywood store, I would learn and I would interact with people, and I was like, wow, it's so true. Like it means so much when you tell me that your son has a baseball game, and then on Monday I said, hey, did he win? How'd it go? I mean, those little interactions are everything, and then they become those repeat customers. And you kind of become like their therapist, and it's really, really rewarding. And it means so much more than the coffee. The product that we serve is amazing, but those connections are everything. And so he taught it to me, and then we would teach it to our employees, and they would just kind of pick up and learn and watch us do it. And
yeah, and we hire really good people too, but it's true. It's the core of everything. And, I think personally, South Florida, the contrast in customer service is severe from the West Coast. Like West Coast, it's expected. It's the standard is you're going to be nice to people, at least in Oregon. California, not so much. But Oregon, people are just friendlier out there. Things move a little bit slower. And I think, in Florida, people get caught up in the rat race of just the daily grind. And I get it. It's easy to do. But for us, we almost like butt into people's lives. Like, hey, we're going to figure out kind of what you're about, who you are. And then we're going to like pry a little bit. And like, people are kind of like, they're thrown off at first. They're like, why do they care?
Where are you
why
from?
are they asking me?
Yeah.
They're like, you guys aren't from Florida, right? And we're like, no, we're not. But then they start to like dig it. And, we've converted a lot of like people who are kind of grumpy in the morning, and they're kind of like, just give me my coffee. Don't talk to me, to like, they become some of the most chatty people, and they want to tell you their life story. You turn them, and they have that in them,
Kind of have to break through that shell.
You gotta break the
There's
shell.
a lot
Sometimes
of really lonely people out there, and it's just, they're like, wow, this person actually cares. They want to know how my day is for real. They're not just asking because they have to. So
yeah. So, and experiencing that, I think that the folks that you have trained to do that. So I know that all the folks listening out there that's always the challenge, right? At the beginning, you were there, and as you've grown, and then you think about 8 stores and beyond, now it becomes about training people to do that.
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that you've learned along the way to be able to keep something that's so important to your business model, but something that's reliant upon training and somebody else? What have you learned?
I think identifying people who are it's all about hiring the right personalities, and then just sort of, I guess, like molding them from there. But like, they have the right tool bag, they come in, and you kind of know if this person's going to be the right person for the job. And then growing at a pace that's not too fast. A lot of companies, they gain momentum, they start to get, they're rolling, and they're like, oh my gosh, like we can open 20 stores next year if we want to, but is it the right choice for the brand? Because our philosophy is always, we'd rather have 5 Cali coffees open that are great than 15 Cali coffees that have all lost half of that charm or more of that charm. What's the point in opening those? So we want everything to be like top quality. And so I think growing slower, which is kind of what we're doing. I mean, we're growing fast, relatively speaking, but we're growing at a pace that we know if we have 5 stores opening next year, we have enough people to like create a management group to at least go there, start them out on the right foot, and instill those values. And
as long as you have those core store managers that get it, and we have a good amount of them, then they know what type of people to hire. And he's right. It's all about the type of person that you hire. And there's some amazing people, but they maybe just are not the right fit for Cali. They just don't have that personality. And they have a lot of other strengths, but it's just not good for Cali. So we are pretty picky about that because it means a lot to just keep rising the bar and making sure that our staff meets what people expect when they come to Cali, because we are pretty picky.
Yeah, and we have a lot of different personalities at Cali. Like, you don't have to be the crazy guy dancing, they're like
The
singing.
Craig, yeah.
We have, I don't even know. I'm mellowed out. I've mellowed out a lot.
There's Craigs and there's Roses.
Yeah, but no, I mean, we have a guy, Ty. He's dancing, twirling around, singing. His energy level is like,
Insane.
I'm super jealous of this guy, right? He's got the best. But you don't have to be that either. He's like the extrovert there. And then we have introverts who connect with customers who want that vibe too.
Yeah, because all the customers are different.
Exactly.
And not everyone wants someone at 7 a.m. dancing in their car. So then, it's good. It's good to hire a variety of people, but they're all people that are able to connect.
And we want them to be able to express themselves. Like, we don't have a script. I know, like, if you go to a lot of places, it's very friendly, but it feels almost ingenuine to a degree. Like, they're reading from like a teleprompter, and you're like, oh, that was nice, it was pleasant, they were at least nice, but it didn't feel real. And so we never have a script. We like encourage them to just have their personality shine, and like, be who you are, you know. And if you're an introvert, be an introvert. If you're an extrovert, be an extrovert. But we also do want them to kind of have the ability to be a chameleon, to cater to somebody. If somebody rolls in at 6 a.m., you can tell they're just super tired, just adapt to them. Give them the conversation that you think they need then, not that you would just normally give to somebody on a Saturday morning at 2 o'clock going to the beach. It's different.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So hiring good people, you guys are saying is a key. And I know, talking to a lot of business leaders as a pastor, and even in the ministry world, sometimes that's easier said than done. So what's been the key for you guys to have access to good people that they would apply?
Yeah. We're so fortunate, because you're right. We hear people all the time saying, man, how do you find people? Where are you finding people? We got 600 applications at Cooper City. So we are just so lucky that we have people that want to work for us. But I think the vibe that we create at the shop, it just attracts the kind of people that we want. They go by, they see it, they feel like they're like, oh, this is me. So we're getting a lot of talent right now. We're very, very lucky. We pretty much just post on Instagram, we're hiring, and it's like the floodgates open, and we pick from there.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a benefit of like creating that atmosphere, that environment where it's like, hey, we want everybody to have a good time here. Then people see it and they're like, oh, if I was there, I'd be having a good time too. So we get them. And like she said, like your vibe attracts your tribe type of thing, where they see that and they're like, I think I could do that. I'm going to apply. So a lot of the people that apply, we do interview, we do hire, because they kind of get it, and sometimes it doesn't work out, but we have a lot of applications. I would say on any given week, normal applications, we get anywhere from like 5 to 10. If there's a new store opening, we'll get like 20 to 30 in a week. So
yeah.
So what are some things, just for those of us that are watching and listening, what are some things that instantly disqualify somebody? They just...
If they're not smiling in their picture, so they have to submit a 1-minute video and a picture, and so that makes it very easy for us. But if they post a picture and they're not smiling...
This is good info if anyone wants to apply.
That happens all the time. Or if they have like a Snapchat filter on their picture.
We've seen some... They have like a group picture. It's just like inappropriate stuff. It's like, yes, it's a fun job. Cali's a great place.
Yeah.
It's fun. But it's still a job. Like, you have to show a level of professionalism, like you want the job. And I think people just get a little too lax sometimes with that. I don't know if that's a generational thing or not.
It seems to be,
It like blows my mind. I would never apply for a job and put like a mirror selfie or something like that. No offense. No.
We get a lot of it. Yeah, just showing a little bit of professionalism. And then what's another like red flag? Just
well, so in the interview, usually, eye contact is big, right?
Oh, eye contact is huge. Yeah.
If they can't look at us in the interview, that's kind of a yellow flag, right? And sometimes it's not, necessarily a no, but it's like, they didn't look at us the whole time. Right. Are they going to be able to connect with the customer? And we'll put them through like a trial by fire type of thing sometimes, where at the end of the interview, if we're not quite sure, if talking to them, we're on the fence, we'll actually take them out there. We'll do a couple cars. We'll take some orders out there, and then we're like, all right, you're up, and kind of throw them in there and see how they
small talk and see how it goes. Yeah.
And it's never like super pretty, because it's tough to throw someone in like that. But you can see they're like, okay, this is a challenge. I'm going to step up and do my best here, or they kind of clam up, and even that, it's just like, it's a good indication of how they may be if hired. And
then so you. Very intentional about what you're doing with those who apply. You're not just filling a spot. You're looking for a certain, they have to have certain characteristics. And then when it comes to training, is is there a system, where you have classes and those things, or is it more on the job, or both, or how do you training folks?
Yeah, it's very systemized. It's we hire them, we send them the manual. They have like a week to study it. It's about 5 training sessions, I'd say, in the
On
shop.
average, I would say,
yeah,
yeah.
5 to 6, and then there's a 100-question test they have to take.
We give them
pass.
the training manuals, it's no joke. It's, decent size. Everybody underestimates it the first time. They're like, how hard could it be making a drink, But I mean, there's a lot of drinks. If you've seen our menu, there's a lot of names. You got to know every one of those and the flavors that go into it and how to make it and how to adjust.
He made the manual so fun though. It's like colorful and there's little like sticker like friends there, so it's super fun.
It's a good
study.
time.
But yeah, they make their Quizlets. They study their butt off, and they have to get a 93. It's at right now.
93
a
out of
100 to
yeah.
pass. So.
And if they fail, they can retake it, but
Yeah.
they have to get that to be officialized.
And then when it comes to the store managers, what would you say their primary role? I mean, because a lot of it seems to have a lot of your success seems to be about the environment.
Yeah.
People are a quality coffee, but they want an
Right.
experience as well.
Yep.
So the manager, what role do they play in like attitude and that kind of thing?
I mean, it's huge. They're basically a mini version of, I mean, not a mini, but like a version of us, you know, it's like our like a lieutenant type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's tough too, because a lot of people, they really enjoy the job and they're excellent at being behind the bar, at talking to people, but then they'll express interest in becoming a manager. And then you have to really sort of like, those skill sets are not necessarily the same. Like there's crossover, right? But you could be a great employee and maybe not so great at management. Just like athletes, they can be a great athlete as a player, but not necessarily as a coach or vice versa. So we have to be able to identify that, because at the end of the day, the store manager is really the face of that store. They're running the day-to-day operations. They report to Rose and I, like if anything comes up. But I mean, if you go to Cooper City, Kyle and Sydney right now are the managers there, and they're doing way more at that store than we are. You know, they're scheduling, they're taking care of back-end stuff, front-end stuff, and they got to be in it like 100%.
Yeah, it's like a good mix of being someone that your staff respects and looks up to, but also someone that they're not afraid of. You know, you want to be their friend, but also their like mentor. Like when we walk in the shop, they're always excited to see us. I would hate if we walked in and they were like, oh no, like, you know, make sure you're doing a good job. Like they're not like that. You want to be that person that you walk in the store and your energy's awesome and they're just excited to see you. But then when they have an issue, or if you know you need to come to them because of some type of issue, there's that level of respect for them. So. And
sometimes they don't come in with any management skills, but they develop it, and we'll help them. We'll guide them in the right direction. Like, look, if this is really something you want to do, we think you're awesome, and we'd love for you to be a part of the Cali, you know, the family forever. Here's where you're kind of lacking. These are your strengths. These are your weaknesses. Let's you know, enhance the strengths, but work on the weaknesses. And I think that's with anything else. And usually they're very coachable. If they want to go down that road, they're like, okay, I need to elevate my game, and I'm willing to do what it takes to do.
Because you actually are giving them something that, from your story, it seems like you guys didn't have. You kind of learned it all.
Yeah,
on the
go.
Kind of bootstrapped it all.
Craig
yeah,
was my
shotgun
coach in the beginning. Yeah.
And the other thing too is that we really believe in growing from within. That's a huge thing. We just had a conversation last night about this. You know, I'd way rather have somebody who's worked at Cali for 2 years, came up, you know, young kid, just you know, figuring things out, and then rather than finding an experienced manager from some other company. You know, that brings no value to us. We're not impressed when people bring in a resume and they're like, yeah, I managed insert name here for X amount of years, and they got this kind of cocky attitude about it. It's like, yeah, but you didn't manage Cali. You haven't been in the trenches like these guys have. So, well,
you know, you're giving people such a great gift when you think about whether they stay at Cali for 5 years or 2 or 15 or retire there. And once they've experienced a work environment like you're creating, you know, they'll never be satisfied with less than that.
We get that from people, and it's such a compliment. Like we have people that go to school, and so they have to find a job in Orlando or wherever else, and they're like, we've gotten a couple texts actually from employees that are just like, I can't tell you like how lucky I feel to have worked at Cali now that I'm working here. And that's just the best compliment to us ever, because that's everything.
Exactly. And we'll see it. So we'll have people who have had jobs before that they just didn't like, they hated. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, you know, I hate working. I hate going there. It's just a bad, toxic environment. And then they come to Cali and they're like, oh my gosh, this is what it could be like. This is amazing. And then you have the person who it's their first job. And so they don't know any different. So then they go to Cali. They're like, oh, this is what a normal job is like anywhere I go, right? And then they go to college and then they have a bad experience and then they text us. So it's interesting to see. we forget how young our employees are sometimes. You know, we've been through all this ourselves, but we forget, you know, we'll look at their birth dates when they apply and we're like, there's got to be a typo here.
Yeah.
Like, how are you not born in this
I
century?
know, when people are
Doesn't
born
make
in the
sense.
2000s, I'm scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah.
Yes,
I
it
start to feel
happens.
real old. Yeah, real fast.
Yeah, and it doesn't get better. Let me
No,
tell you.
no, I know.
This keeps going.
I know,
that's
I'm
for
fighting
sure.
it like heck, but it's tough.
So now, one of the things you hear all the time when people talk about leadership, and see if you guys agree with it, and then I got one more question. We're just about out of time, but you hear slow to hire, quick to fire. So again, we've talked about the kind of people you're looking for. We talked about some of the training, but to keep the ship going in the right direction, I would imagine from time to time there's some folks that aren't necessarily evil, they're just not the right fit. So how do you, how quickly, or what advice would you give when it comes to actually letting somebody go?
Yeah, that's so important, and it's such a good, because
Yeah,
it was
great.
hard for us, and that was something
Yeah.
that we knew there was a couple of people that we were like, man, this is just, it's a dark cloud in Cali right now, and it's affecting everyone. You have to remember it's affecting your other employees, and you have to remember that, and it's so important to just.
And they're impressionable
that.
too.
Yeah.
And so you get people who, again, they sort of just, you root for them inside. You're like, we hired this person, they've been here for a while, so you always want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But there comes a time where you just have to be very honest with, is this person actually helping the company now, or are we just throwing them a lifeline and they're just continuing to use it? And so, yeah, we've had to make those decisions before, and it's tough. It's, it always sucks having to fire somebody.
Yeah.
And usually we'll give them a fair shot. We'll be like, we'll put them on like a probationary period where it's like, all right, this is kind of what you need to correct, and you have a period of time to do it. And if they can't do it, or they just continue to stay in their old ways, then we got to let them go.
It's never fun.
tough.
Firing people, it's so hard. But I always tell them, you are amazing. You have amazing gifts and talents and qualities, just not for Cali, and that's okay.
And once we do that, once we do make that decision and they're gone, it always the vibe. It's like always a good decision. We're like, man, we should have done that earlier, but we were a little too nice. So
Yeah. It's important.
sometimes you gotta lay it down a little bit.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges. I think it's a good thing, though, to remember, too, that sometimes that's what people need. Like you said, they go out and they realize what they had and to grow. The last question I wanted to ask you, so you guys have begun this, and you're having great success. You've got great environments. You're not just succeeding in the number of cups you're selling. People enjoy coming. I hear that from a lot of people. We're not too far from one of your locations here at Potential. So how do you guys relate, especially when there's a disagreement? So you're co-founders, you're also in a relationship. So how do you work through different opinions, those kind of things that are going to pop up?
Fortunately, we have our personality types mesh pretty well. Like, one of us is the yin, one of us is the yang, and she knows how to handle me. I'm like the bull that sees red all the time, and I'm quick to make decisions. It's like it's a blessing and a curse, because I'm not afraid of doing things, but sometimes I need to think it through more. And so she's able to really reel me back in and be like, all right, you need to sleep on this before you make that decision, or whatever the case may be. And she just complements it so well. I have a lot of weaknesses.
Lucky.
She's strong in those departments a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think we got really lucky as business partners and just partners in life that we do complement each other so well. And yeah, there's times where, this is his dream at the end of the day. It was his dream since he was, 15 years old. And so I have to trust that when things are making me a little bit, I'm like, whoa, slow down. I'm like, but this is his dream. He knows best. And so I just support that. And I think we do a good job with
She's
that.
the best, but I'm definitely not always right. And so it's good for her to be able to tell me to stop or slow down at least for a little bit. And sometimes I'll still do it, but at least she slowed me down for a little and made me think it through. But yeah, it comes with challenges. You can't, there's that blend there, right? The personal life, the business life, and we're so used to it at this point that it's all one and the same. But in the beginning, it's tough. There are challenges. So I think they say, don't mix business with friends. But I think if you're able to navigate it, it can be an amazing thing to do business with friends or with somebody you love. It's incredible, right?
Why not do it with somebody you love if you're going to do it?
It's the best ever. But it's also more mercurial, and it can go.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being here today, and I know it's helped a lot of people. There's always a lot of folks out there that are in different places, some just starting, and as you guys found out, it took a lot longer than you thought, and encouragement can be an incredible part of that. So thank you for encouraging folks, and thank you for what you do. I do think it's a positive thing in the community. So
Yeah, right
thanks for
back
being
at
here.
you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys. Thank
It was
you
a lot
so
of
much.
fun. Yeah.
We appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for being a part of the Troy Gramling podcast. I encourage you to pass it on to somebody else. They may need to hear this today. And we'll catch you next week on the next edition. See you then.